Explore a path of serenity and inner balance as you dive into the universe of yoga with us. Join us in the online yoga course with Sadhguru. Sign up to experience the transformative benefits of yoga. The link is in the description.
Don't worry about your work, you give it up. What do you want? You want a roof? I'll give you. You want food every day? I'll give you. All you have to do is just sit in one place and be blissful. I will feed you for the rest of your life. Can you do? No, you want to mess up something every day. People say they're only working for a living. I said, don't worry, I'll give you shelter, I'll give you food every day, no problem. All you have to do is, I want to see tears of blissfulness every day. That's all the requirement. You don't have to do any work, you don't have to serve me, you don't have to produce anything, nothing. Just sit here blissfully, we'll feed you, we'll worship you. No. So the problem is not in your work, the problem is not in your life, the problem is not in the world that you live, the problem is just that you have not done the necessary things for this one to flow through this effortlessly, beautifully. The necessary work has not been done and we're just hoping it'll happen by accident. It doesn't happen by accident. Lot of people in the world think United States of America is heaven. But people who live here don't think so at all. Isn't it so? Isn't it? Lot of people in the world are dying to get an entry into the country. You open up the southern borders, 10 million people will enter tomorrow morning because they think this is heaven. But you are not experiencing it that way, isn't it? You are not experiencing this as heaven because hell and heaven is not a geographical place. Hell and heaven is what you make out of yourself, isn't it? Too much talk about heaven has been going on because there are too many people who made a hell out of themselves. If you had made a heaven out of yourself, would you talk about going to heaven? If you sit here and you're feeling ecstatic right now, would you aspire to go to heaven, I'm asking? Once it happened, early 20th century, an Orthodox Greek church, a bishop from that church, Orthodox Greeks have their own separate church, they have their own pope who lives in Turkey, you know this? So a bishop from this order had heard so much about Indian mysticism and he wanted to go to India, but he never got around to make it because he had to serve the cloth that he wore. And after 60 years of age, when he is semi-retired, he got the opportunity and went to India. So he came to South India, near where we are, and he wanted to meet a mystic, a yogi. So somebody said, go up this mountain, near a cave, there is a yogi sitting, you can go. So our man went, plodded up the mountain, halfway up and went. In front of a cave, an old man with a gentle smile upon his face was just sitting with his eyes closed. So the bishop went and prostrated. He cannot do it, he is not made for that. But they had told him, if you go to India, you have to crawl. He prostrated like this and with all his four limbs he got up. The yogi looked at him with amusement. Obviously, he has never prostrated anywhere before and he smiled. Then the bishop said, I am like this, I am a bishop. I have served in the church for so long, but I have a few questions, can you answer? The yogi smiled and said, yes, please, whatever the question. Then the bishop asked, what is life? At the age of 60. What is life? So the yogi closed his eyes, became very blissful and said, life is like the fragrance of a jasmine on the spring breeze. And tears of blissfulness flowed out of his eyes as he was saying this. Then the bishop said, no, no, no. Our Pope has told us life is like a thorn and we must renounce it. And even symbolically, Jesus himself wore a crown of thorns. So, how come you say this? Our Pope says otherwise. The yogi looked at him, smiled and said, well, that's his life. So, what you make out of it is not because of where you are, what you are, it is just what you make out of it, isn't it? So, have you created the necessary mechanism? Have you created the necessary system? Have you created the necessary ingredients within you to make this like the fragrance of jasmine on a spring breeze and not a thorn? If it's a thorn, we must pluck the damn thing out, isn't it? Isn't it so?
Yes.
Now that you're taking Devi home, how powerful, how mighty and how wonderful she becomes in your house simply depends on how much you feed of your heart to her. If you hold her as the highest entity in your home, not yourself, not your family, but if you hold Devi as the highest entity in your home, one who receives the grace of Devi need not ever fear failure, disease, death. All this will become a play.
Respectable Sadhguruji, your global contribution for rivers, Rally of Rivers, is such a successful movement which is going to inspire not only India but in the whole world. Particularly, I am responsible for water resources, river connectivity, Ganga rejuvenation, and particularly the water is a subject related with my ministry. As with your blessings, we are trying to develop clean Ganga mission, and which is really a basic big challenge for the country. You are absolutely correct. Without plantation, we cannot save our rivers. And that is the main theme behind the Rally for Rivers. You educate the masses, you inspire the people, and you give them a very specific target as far as the ecology and environment is concerned. As one of your admirer, it is a great pleasure and pride for me today to have this Jivan Gaurav Puraskar for you from Maharashtra Rajya Marathi Patrakar Sangha. And it's a great pleasure and pride for me that I got opportunity to give it to you. I'm not a so big man, but it is the blessings from your side to me. This is only my feeling about it.
The most embarrassing moments of my life or moments of accolades and awards, but I must thank you for organizing this. A river is a live thing. This great amount of work being done with the Ganga, cleaning of the Ganga, A lot of people think Ganga is dirty. No, we are dirty people. Essentially, if human beings go to sleep just for 1 year, in one flood season, Ganga will clean herself. So what Ganga needs is some responsible action from us. Soil is the most important thing. If we have rich soil, there'll always be enough water. We as a generation of people, are we committed to take it in the direction of solution rather than driving it towards a problem? What is our gift to future generations? At least do we have the responsibility to give this nation to the next generation as our parents gave it to us? Maharashtra has been a very proactive state for Rally for Rivers. It is the most proactive state. We must congratulate you all for this. As Gadkariji was mentioning Sudhir Mugantiwar's name, this man is fire. Without his enthusiasm, these things wouldn't have happened. And of course, the Chief Minister is backing him 100%. And fortunately in Maharashtra, the Forest Minister and the Finance Minister are same. This has done wonders. We will be unfolding a project in Yavatmal, the Vagari River. We have chosen the most difficult place in the country. This is considered the epicenter of former suicide. There are a variety of reasons for this, but I'm 100% sure if the necessary cooperation is there, in 5 to 8 years' time, we can make a complete turnaround of this region. Every one of you who are proud Marathi people, we have to demonstrate this to the world. What looked like a hopeless piece of land, we can convert it into a very rich piece of land where people will live well. We have created a detailed project report. Our volunteers have been working for last 8 months on the ground, literally meeting every farmer in the region. Farmers are very eager and the government is very enthusiastic. If all of you are with us, I'm sure we will make this happen. Thank you very much.
Does anything worry you? Do you have bad days? This question is from Bharshini.
First of all, I don't have days. Because the days are only in your memory. In your reality, there's only now, isn't it? Yes or no? The problem right now is human intellect. See, of all the gadgets that you have, I know he's looking into his favorite gadget. What are you, Apple or Samsung you? Okay. No, because it's a religion, so I'm asking. It's almost like asking, are you Hindu, Muslim, Christian, what are you? Are you Apple, Samsung or BlackBerry? We're almost getting there, isn't it? So, human intellect, of all the gadgets that you have, even including the Apple, human mind is the most sophisticated gadget on this planet. Do you agree with me? Every other gadget has come out of this. But we are busy looking into the iPhone, completely missing the eye. Right now, for most human beings, let me not use the word most, for too many human beings, this mind is not a miracle that it actually is. For so many human beings, this mind has become a misery manufacturing machine. All the misery, human misery on this planet, where is it manufactured? Madras? No, in your mind, isn't it? What should have been the greatest miracle, unfortunately has become a source of misery for human beings. Why is this so? There are two dimensions to your intelligence. One is perception, one is the penetration of your intelligence, another is the memory aspect of it. Because of the kind of education systems that you're suffering right now, which is 100% memory-based, all you have to do is memorize something, vomit it somewhere. Your idea of being intelligent right now has become purely memory-based. Tonight, today evening at the tea party, you don't have to know anything. You just have to surf the internet, pick up some facts about that 64, T64 galaxy that nobody knows about. You get some information and throw it around. People think you're smart. Because our whole idea of intelligence has become memory, unfortunately. Once you're dipping your hand into memory, your intelligence becomes very cyclical. Because it's recycling the past in so many different ways, it looks smart for somebody who doesn't know that, otherwise it's just nonsense. Today we know a goddamn chip can record more than your brain can record. It is not intelligence. Memory is just a resource, it is not an intelligence. The nature of the intelligence and the purpose of human intellect is that it should be able to penetrate. But it has got such a huge backlog, it is identified with the memory in such a bad way, it has lost its penetration. It is like you have a knife. Intellect is like a knife, it can cut through anything. But now you have a knife where the apple is sticking. Now whatever you try to cut, it's not going to cut anything because there's a big apple sticking here. This is what has happened, a huge bank of memory is sticking to it and it's lost its penetration. This is a tremendous loss that's happened to humanity because of the nature of education systems that we have crafted. So the fundamental process of spiritual process is to sharpen this intellect in such a way that if you sit here, your memory does not influence you. Your intelligence is simply here. It sees everything just the way it is. If this doesn't happen to you, your intellect will become the source of your suffering. You will see educated people are definitely suffering more than the uneducated on this planet, isn't it so? They're also causing much more suffering. The planet is suffering mainly because of educated people, not because of uneducated people. Yes or no? The very life of the planet is being threatened by the educated, not by the uneducated, because it is a completely memory-based education. It is not intelligence-based education. We need to shift this. If the education systems are not going to shift it, as individual people, you must shift, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur means you must create an opportunity where there isn't one. That is enterprise, isn't it? There is something called as a pineal gland. Various aspects of yoga or sadhana of yoga is to move it little down, south, it's called, moving it south. This is the symbolism of Shiva turning south because his third eye moved south. What was up here came down between the two eyes. The moment it came here, he saw things that nobody had ever seen. Now, if this happens in a certain way, the secretions of the pineal, which in yoga is referred to as amrit or amrita or amritam probably in Sanskrit, this amritam either can be taken into the system to strengthen the system and increase or extend the longevity of the system, or this amrita can be taken to create blissfulness in the system. Like a drug, it can just blow you away. Or you can use this amrita to enhance your perception that you can become like thin air because everything that is here passes through you. Right now, air passes only through your nostrils and you know if it doesn't pass, you're gone. If this air can pass through right across you, some of you might at some moment felt when you're very carefree and joyful, you stood in the breeze, it feels like breeze is passing through you. And you become 100% transparent. That is because you've used your amrita to
bring sensitivity to the system. So these are three fundamental ways. One is to strengthen the body, to make it like a rock, which will give a certain longevity to that person, which is considered superhuman by most people. Or to bring such a level of drunkenness and blissfulness within you that you don't care how long you live. Or to make yourself like thin air, that your perception is super hyped because there is absolutely no resistance to the system. The same secretions of the pineal gland can be used in three different ways. This amrita or this secretion of the pineal gland will play the right kind of role in the system. When I say right, in my perception, only if it enhances your perception, it is right. Because if you do not enhance your perception, your life doesn't get enhanced in any way. It only gets enhanced in somebody else's eyes. If you become like a rock, your experience of life may not change. It is just other people think you're fantastic. Well, we could have made a statue out of you and you would have been a rock anyway. We didn't need a human being to become like a rock. If you have a rock for a brain, this will be the problem. You're always thinking, which is a bigger rock than you, which is a smaller rock than you. Your entire life goes into this as to which is superior, which is inferior, which is better, which is worse. Endlessly you will be comparing yourself because this is the nature of a rock. This is the nature of physical reality. Once you identify yourself with physical reality, which is better, which is worse, is a natural process of thought. Only if you transcend that, can you be free from this as to which is better and which is worse. When one masters one's Mooladhara, which got referred to as Kaya Kalpa, you become like a rock. You want to make the body last for a millennia or more. When Swadhisthana sadhana is done, burst of energy happens. One can deliver a god, but you may lose your body. If you bring any sound to Manipura without opening your mouth, the very body reverberates the sound. When one is dominant in their anahata, they start hearing things. A reasonably stable person can go crazy. The moment Vishuddhi is active, you become occult competent. Disembodied beings will naturally move towards you. Agna means there is clarity. The level of freedom it gives you is tremendous. The Sahasrar is total madness. The moment energy touches Sahasrar, you drip ecstasy. The solar flares have kicked out. The next 6 years, there is an extra stimulus on all the energies that work upon this planet. Whenever these solar flares happen, battles happen, disastrous events happen, at least segments of society could rise. The solar flare activity in the sun has gone up significantly and it's going up further. Maybe about 17, 18 months ago, it started. When the solar flares increase, it has a significant impact on the magnetic field of the planet and the amount of radiation that happens. There are various things, I don't want to go into the science of it. But it has serious impact on all planets. Our concern is Earth. A few people who come from Mars, they all have their own problems, but on planet Earth, there is significant impact, all life is impacted. Well, once again, because today we have come to this place in the world
Unless you believe, mark my words, unless you believe, you understand. Unless you believe you understand, you cannot accept anything. This is a very crippling state. But unfortunately, people have come to this. When I say you believe you understand, do you really understand how this planet is spinning and how it is going around the sun and how this is all working and how it is impacting your body and how you're living and how your breath is happening? Do you really understand? But you read it in the sixth standard textbook. You're a textbook scientist and you know all of it, you know everything. So, essentially, except for a few top-notch scientists maybe, for the rest of them, science is like religion, they just believe. What is said in one book, if you believe, you become religious. If you believe what is said in many textbooks, you become scientific. Very few people are real scientists who are genuinely exploring. So for most of the humanity, I'm talking about the educated class of people, science is generally like religion. Only thing is, with science, you could change your opinion after 2 years. With religion, if you change, you'll get poked. Except for that, it is the same kind of belief system. So these solar flares are happening, autonomic nervous system is seriously impacted by this, everybody knows this. I know this from what happens in my system and I see how it is happening in other people's systems. Digestive system, your breathing process, your ability to digest, your ability to breathe and absorb what you need to absorb, everything is affected by the solar flares. So when this started, the solar flares started happening and I felt certain things within my system. Then I inquired with a few people, what is happening? It's like, feels like this. Then they said the solar flares have kicked out and next 6 years they will be at a very high pitch, the kind of pitch that we have not seen in our lifetime at least. So now the solar activity, one way is in the Indian traditions and in scriptures and other things. I'm not an expert on this, but I know it has been said that when solar activity rises like that, there could be a lot of death, there could be disease, there could be wars, there could be psychological imbalances, there could be lot of turmoil in human life and lot of upheavals in animal life, every life on the planet, because it affects your nervous system, digestive system, pulmonary system, everything. Now, is it causing harm to us? No. It's just like this. See, suppose the wind is blowing like this. Let's say wind is blowing from this direction. Is that okay? If it blows from that direction? Okay. Now, you are trying to resist it. It'll be a real nuisance. You won't be able to do anything if the wind is blowing hard enough. Or let us say you want to fly. You want to fly, if the wind is blowing like this, if you go into the wind, without much effort, without much fuel, you'll just take off. But if you try to go with it, your airplane will crash or your glider will crash, whatever it is you're trying to fly. So the wind is a boon for somebody who knows how to use it. It's a curse for somebody else who does not know how to use it. This is true with every force in the universe. So solar flares also are like this. Well, I did not predict that there will be a pandemic or something, but I knew there will be something happening. Because I don't try to decipher these things with thoughts, I just see things as they are. I knew something not so good will be happening to people. So in the month of February, we released the death book. 8 years it's been in the works, and people who were working on it wanted to be perfect. Death, you know. They worked on it, they worked on it, they worked on it, it came back to me, I worked on it, gave it back to them, again they come back, one more question, backward, forward, it's been going on for 8 years. Then I put a deadline, it has to be finished by end of January in 2020, and February we published it. Lot of people in India asking me, Sadhguru, you knew. Hey, I'm not the one who brought the virus from wherever. I did not know. If I knew, I would have told you, it's coming. I did not know, I just knew that something is not good, people will go through some turmoil. So we released the death book and by March, people were dying all over the place. Literally everywhere in the world, March, April of 2020, you remember. So, these solar flares started about 17 months ago maybe, which increased its activity. It could go on for another 4.5 years. In this time, will humanity bring disaster upon themselves, or will they bring realization and transformation upon themselves? Is in the hands of human beings. This is why conscious planet as a movement becomes super significant. So, this, if you're conscious, this is a fantastic time, because I want you to understand this. It is only in the summer when the sun is really hot, all the plants really burst out. They know how to make use of the sun's energy. You will say, oh, very hot, oh. Winter also, of course, you were complaining, but something new. Every season gives you something new to complain. Whether it is the climatic season or your life seasons, always complaining about something because you don't learn how to ride it. So these solar flares, for a spiritual seeker who wants to transform his energy, well, this is a time when everything is cooking really well. I want to make sure all the consecrations I want to do, I finish within this next 4.5 years, because Sun himself with me. Probably, it's not 100%, this is most probably 80%. I am correct on this, but it could be a little off. Probably by mid-2023 to mid-2024, those 12 months probably, or at least 9 months, it could be at its peak. So at that time, will we bring realization to the world or disasters to the world, or will nations start shooting at each other? I don't know. I would like to see something very positive and wonderful happens. But I'm just one man. Am I just one man? No. Then why are you keeping quiet? I'm just one man. In ancient times in India, certain yogis have been described as Sahasranga. That means that yogi had 1,000 arms. Do I have? Only 1,000? You said you have an army. I heard that word. Army takes commands. Whatever, yes sir. Anyway, I don't want a yes sir from you, but I want you to come to your senses because this is going to be next few years a charged up time on this planet. Are we going to use this charge for transformation, realization, or are we going to stab at each other, kill each other, do something terrible to each other because some stimulus is happening in our body, we don't have equanimity, then we will damage each other. This is where we are. You will watch it as it progresses. And there is enough scientific study today to support this, that these solar flares have been marked in the yogic calendar in the past. Whenever solar flares rose to a certain pitch, it is happening all the time, but certain times, I don't think there is any particular kind of time table for that, it is just happens for whatever reasons. I don't think anybody has really figured out why it happens and why the timing of it. Because probably the cycles may be in millions of years, there is nobody here to observe that, exactly why it happens at a given time. Our observations are all of a few centuries, so we really do not know. But whenever these solar flares happen, great yogis rose in that culture. At the same time, battles happened, disastrous events happened, sometimes earthquakes happened, because the magnetic forces in the planet and the thermal forces in the core of the planet are all being influenced by the solar flares. So, if a volcano erupts, if you have a gallery view of a volcano going off full on, what a fantastic view, you wouldn't want to miss it, isn't it? Only if you're at the foothills and you're going to become part of the molten stone, that's not a good thing. So every force in the world is like this. So, when something like this is happening, the populations on the planet should have the wisdom to get themselves to the right place, so that this extra force that is being exerted upon this planet could work to our advantage. This is why approaching every aspect of your life becomes super important. Otherwise, there will be pain, there will be death, there will be problems. At least, if we cannot change the whole world, that also should not be impossible in today's level of communication. Because never before we could communicate with people as we can do today because of the technologies we have. Using the technologies and the solar flares, we can make this next 4.5 years tremendous time for humanity. But if we don't, at least segments of society, segments of human population could rise. Those who do not make use of it, we do not know how it'll go. It's not like some kind of sweeping disaster will happen, earthquake will happen, flood will happen, it's not necessarily like that. But there is an extra stimulus on all the energies that work upon this planet, the geomagnetic forces and nuclear radiations and the magnetic tail that is there behind the earth and the way moon relates to the planet and how it redirects these energies of the flares towards the earth, what it does, all these things will have some kind of stimulus. When extra stimulus happens, like The other day I'm riding on the motorcycle. These days, these are all modern motorcycles. When I rode, there was only one mode, my mode. Today there are modes, off-road mode, rain mode, touring and sport. I always keep it in the sport, whatever I ride, because I want it on full power. So when I'm riding either in India or here, the other day I was riding, well, the rear wheel is little fishtailing a bit because they are high-powered motorcycles. If you put it on rain mode, it will reduce. What extent means? It is under around 160 bhp for a two-wheeler, it's a lot. If you put it on rain mode, it will become 90 bhp, so that it will become safe. But you know, I am not a safe. I'll die of boredom if it's safe. So I keep it on the sport mode and ride in the rain. So a little funny, it does little back wheel. But when extra power is there, you can do things which you cannot do without the necessary power, isn't it? So right now, it's that kind of a situation. There is extra everything on the planet and it's going to rise in the next year or so. When this happens, we can either break our bones or we can rise. It's marvelous that everybody should rise. Whatever we can do, we should do to see that humanity rises, because there is a kind of energy that is very difficult to generate by ourselves. And the entire planet is being influenced by that.
If we are seeking evolution, we could have slowly done it. We are not looking for evolution. We are seeing how to mutate you. If you have to attain to your own sense of energy, it will take a very long time. Certain times have been created where it will be at its peak intensity.
There is a kind of energy that is very difficult to generate by ourselves, and the entire planet is being influenced by that. Mid-2023 to mid-2024, this is a fantastic time.
Semen is of an extraordinary level of potency. It is one of the most potent things if you know how to use it. Can it be transformed into a different level of function? Absolutely. This can be scientifically established.
How important is a man's semen for physical, mental and spiritual well-being? Can wasting our semen damage us spiritually?
Well, you know, semen is the basis of your physical existence, whether you're a man or a woman. You have come into existence because that is 50% of the ingredient. Yes? Well, we have skin, we have epithelial cells, we have hair, we have many other aspects of body, you know, heart, liver, kidney, so many things. All these cells are of a certain potency in their own way. But semen is of an extraordinary level of potency, it can create a whole new life. Well, today you can take an epithelial cell and do a lot of things in a laboratory and maybe we can clone you, all right? So the potential is here also, but it is not in the same dynamics as it is in a cell, which you're referring to as semen. So in the yogic culture, this is called as virya. Virya also refers to what you call as vajra, which means stability, or diamond, which is the hardest thing. So in the human body, virya is considered to be like vajra. That means it is one of the most potent things if you know how to use it. Well, how to use it means you can use it to produce a child. That's one thing. Well, if this question is coming because you are using it to spill it on the JNU bed sheets, okay? If that's how you're using it, well, that's your compulsion, you're doing whatever you're doing. This is not something to be judged morally, that's not the point, it's a question of what is the level of compulsion that one has. But anything in this body, can it be transformed into a different level of function? Absolutely. Not just semen, just everything in this body can be transformed. Say, suppose I give you all soup-making ingredients, same soup-making ingredients to every one of you. Do you believe all of you will produce the same soup? No. You will produce 500 varieties of soups, those same ingredients. That's all that's happened with us right now. All of us are fundamentally same ingredients, but see how different each one of us are. Different soups. Well, if I give you soup-making ingredients, either you can make a great soup or a lousy soup. Depends what kind of skills you have, isn't it? So this goes for everything, not just for semen. Every dimension of your body and your mind, you can transform into something tremendous, or you can make it mediocre, or you can make it a serious problem. Every aspect of your life. That goes for this aspect of life also. Saying, people are making it literal translations, but if you want to produce a certain, let's say, epithelial cells, how much energy the body spends on it? And if you want to produce a cell which you call a semen, how much energy body spends is very different. This can be scientifically established. So, when you're investing so much energy in that, obviously it has a potency if you know how to explore. But are you competent to explore? Are you capable of exploring? Do you have the necessary sadhana and guidance to do that? That's a big question mark. There are 100, 200 dreams going on, parallel dreams. So after 2 weeks of dream yantra, everybody absolutely still. It's a fantastic process. To take the dream yantra home, we could make it. It'll be a powerful tool. See, this dream yantra, maybe dream machine sounds better. Dream yantra is something that we created when we had people for a 90-day program. This was in United States. So at this time, when I saw that after, lot of sadhana through the day, from morning 5:30 on, it's on. So then I walked into the hall one day in the night and I just saw everybody was sleeping peacefully. I didn't like it. They're supposed to be working upon themselves. The thing is, sleeping peacefully means, if you've reached a state within yourself where you're beyond these things, then you must sleep peacefully. You still have a lot of troubles and you're still sleeping peacefully, that's not a good idea because you'll carry your trouble for the rest of your life. Then I said, let's do this. It took a couple of weeks to prepare this, and it took another few weeks to get them engaged with it. And then everybody started having violent dreams, rap at great speed. Simply, in a night, there are 100, 200 dreams going on, parallel dreams going on. Sadhguru, we were sleeping well all these days now. I said, I am not a tranquilizer. I am here to awaken people, not to put them to sleep. Because you can never genuinely meditate if you don't expend these things. When you sit like this, dreams are going on. You need to expend them. There is only a certain amount of data. If you run it at a great pace, then you will see when you sit next time, there's not much data, simply it's there. So after 2 weeks of dream yantra, everybody absolutely still. It's a fantastic process. At that time, I said we will make it and give it to people to take it home. But then, capability comes at one point, wisdom comes a little later. Then I saw that unless we have at least a minimum of 1 week, preferably a fortnight, that they must come and stay here, we must monitor them, that they run through the worst part of the dreams, and before they take it home, they are little more. Not a flood is flowing gently. We must get them to that place before they take it home. Otherwise, if the situation is not conducive, people around you don't understand what's happening with you, then there's no point doing very intense things. So when you and many others are ready for something like that, let's say a fortnight of process to take the dream yantra home, we could make it. It'll be a powerful tool. These are kind of sadhanas which individually we can set forth for anybody even without the dream yantra. But then they must be under our observation and care. Otherwise, it's not necessarily it'll go bad. When you drive at high speed, you must be on a road where some stupid cyclist won't take a U-turn. Hello? Yes or no? If that guy takes a U-turn, it's a small thing. You may be driving a car, he's just on a bicycle. But terrible things will happen, both for you and him and for everything. So, if you want to drive at that pace, you must be at least for some time on a clear highway. So, when you're ready for something like that, we can think about it.
The whole experience of your life, in a certain way, is a dream. In Anadi, we created a dream machine. So we hasten the dreams 100 times over than normal. We are not touching your prarabdha karma or the allotted karma. We are only going for the warehouse of karma, the sanchita karma. Because the substance that is necessary to find one more womb has been taken away. But this body is perfectly fine. That means we've destroyed your future.
Bringing a balance between Ida and Pingala is a very important part of living a balanced life. 40 minutes at a time, 4 times during the day, there is a certain transition happening. These are called twilight zones or sandhyas, because at this time, the balance between Ida and Pingala shifts very rapidly. In the yogic way of looking at things, there is no such thing as body and mind. There is physical body, there is mental body, there's energy body. The energy body comprises of 72,000 nadis. When we say a nadi, it means a channel or a pathway. Nadi does not mean a nerve. If you cut open this body, you will not see the nadis, there is no such thing physically. But experientially, if you observe the nature of the movement of energy in the system, you will see that it always moves along established pathways, never randomly. So there are 72,000 ways in which it moves. 36 on the right, 36 on the left, 36,000 on either side. The right is called as Pingala, the left is referred to as Ida. These are also referred to as sun and moon. So, these two, Ida and Pingala, or the sun and the moon, the right and the left, on the level of your mind, signify the logical and the intuitive. When I say intuitive, intuition is not another dimension of perception, but just another dimension of computing. If you have the same amount of information within you, if you go logically, there may be 10 steps to get to a place. Intuition means you don't take the 10 steps, you just jump to the 10th step. But today modern education systems, 100% stomping on the intuitive dimension, only the logical is developed. Anything intuitive is dismissed off as mumbo-jumbo. For everything you have to think through. What your grandmothers just knew, today you have to do $1 billion research to find the same thing. When you have to think through everything, and everything seems to have multiple steps, now life becomes stressful. If one wants to be successful beyond a certain point, there are some things where you should be able to jump the steps and arrive at it. Still the same information, still the same stuff. It is just that you don't have to walk through that many steps every time. This makes life very stressful because it is like you're driving your car on two wheels, the other two wheels unused and safe. I don't know for when to be used, but the two wheels that you're using will feel enormous amount of stress. So, in the yogic system, the significance of the intuition is as important as the logical. So bringing a balance between Ida and Pingala is a very important part of living a balanced life. Being able to conduct yourself through complex situations with ease comes only when the intuitive dimension of your mind is sufficiently evolved and developed. Otherwise, small things will freak you because for everything there are multiple steps. Here we'll be doing a few things to bring a balance between Ida and Pingala, to give you an experiential understanding of this. If you take your forefinger, place it beneath your nostrils and gently exhale. Find out in which nostril the breath is dominant right now. How many of you right? Left? Okay, it's either right or left. Only two barrels, you know. If there were 25, how complex it would have been. If you observe yourself through the day, you would have noticed that approximately between 40 to 48 minutes, the dominance of the breath will shift from right to left and left to right. Have you ever noticed this? Have you? Why this is happening is, within the system, the dominance of energy, prana, which is the vital force in the system, is shifting from Pingala to Ida and Ida to Pingala every 40 minutes. Once the energy shifts, within the next 8 minutes, the breath will shift. If you're in a perfect state of health and well-being, it will shift within a few moments, or we can say instantaneously. This shifting is happening every 40 minutes, but during certain times of the day, which are referred to as the Sandhya Kalas, which means the twilight zones. 20 minutes before sunrise, 20 minutes after sunrise. Oh, that's okay, Sadhguru, tell me if there are other times. 20 minutes before noon, 20 minutes after noon. 20 minutes before sunset, 20 minutes after sunset, 20 minutes before midnight and 20 minutes after midnight. 40 minutes at a time, 4 times during the day. There is a certain transition happening. These are called twilight zones or sandhyas, because at this time, the balance between Ida and Pingala shifts very rapidly. Because it's shifting rapidly within yourself, it's very easy to bring it to a balance at these times. To an extent, almost everywhere in the world, any spiritual process or practice means morning, evening. Sandhya has become synonymous with spiritual practice. The time has become synonymous with many practices. So, bringing a balance between Ida and Pingala is important for a balanced development of a human being.
You feel truly comfortable only when you're in balance, in some way. When there's any kind of imbalance, there's discomfort, isn't it? Yes? When you're experiencing any kind of imbalance, there is discomfort. Only when you attain to a certain balance, you feel really comfortable. So comfort is never really determined by what you're sitting on or where you are. Comfort is determined by how balanced you are within yourself. This basic comfort that every human being must have, unfortunately, has been denied to too many people. Just to sit with total ease in one place is not there in most people right now, isn't it? Simply sitting in ease, complete ease, it is not there. So, when there is no ease, it's a disease. Whether you're medically diagnosed or not, it is a disease. If the disease continues over a period of time, it will manifest itself in the body as a malfunction, which gets labeled as some kind of disease, like incredible names they're coming out with for every kind of problem. The fundamental reason why the system doesn't last its span, it's designed to last its span, but it is not lasting its span because we're keeping it in various levels of imbalance. You drive your car on just 2 wheels all the time, something will break down. So, similarly, the whole system is not being properly kept. There is not enough balance in the system. Only when you're in balance, there is comfort, otherwise there is no comfort. One will not know comfort unless he knows some sense of balance within himself. Only when you're in balance, you can be still. And man is ill. Human beings are ill only because they do not know how to be still. Stillness will not come unless there is proper balance. Only when you're totally balanced, you can be still within yourself, otherwise that will not happen.
Until the next adventure, stay connected for more inspiring content, and don't forget to invite your friends to join us on this journey of learning and evolution.